Hello, my name is Pete Hamill and I'm the author of Embodied Leadership. And in this video I'd like to say a few words about what we mean by leadership inside of the discourse of embodied leadership. Now at some level that may seem a little bit foolish because isn't it obvious what we mean by leadership? It's to take leadership. However, leadership is probably widely misunderstood as a concept by very many different people. Warren Bennis, a famous writer about leadership, said that it's the most studied and least understood subject in all of social science, and I would really agree with that. And when you listen to people talk about leadership, they're often implicitly talking about different things. So let's talk about leadership from a few different perspectives. One perspective that people often talk about is the perspective of the leader is the person in the position of authority and power in the organization. The leaders in this organization, for example, or the leaders of the country, the presidents and prime ministers. And what they're doing inside of that is they're equating leadership with a position. And what we also know about leadership, most of us through our experience, is that leadership is not a position. Actually, there are people in many positions of leadership who do not actually exercise leadership. They are in that position and they should be exercising leadership, but they're not. We've probably all had experience of seeing people in those positions doing anything but lead. So we know that to lead and to be in a position of leadership are two distinct different things. And that's the first thing that we need to know about leadership. So it's not a position. The next thing that we then sometimes do is we start to say, oh, well, maybe it's just certain people who are leaders, certain people who are born and imbued with certain qualities. They have a genetic predisposition towards leadership or something like that. And I've recently written a blog post upon this because, there is basically zero evidence of any genetic connection to leadership. In fact, there's lots of evidence against any genetic connection to leadership, yet it's still held on to because it's a convenient story. If we hold that story, then I don't have to take leadership because who am I to take leadership? Because I'm not that one who's imbued with some genetic ability. That's somebody else's job. And so it's a very convenient way for us to avoid taking leadership for the things that we care about and the things that are important to us. It's somebody else's job because I'm not that person. Modern thinking about leadership actually puts leadership as something that's much more of a choice. It's something that's a possibility for any and all of us. All of us have those moments, those things that crop up, these issues, the problems in the world that we care about. And it's a question of whether or not we're willing to put ourselves forward and take leadership about those things that we care about. And it's a pretty scary thing to do. There's risk associated with it. There's a reason why lots of the great sort of political and social leaders throughout history have been killed off. Because there's risk associated with leadership. Whenever you put yourself forward as a leader, some people won't like what you have to say. Some people will object. There are other people who will say, who the hell are you to stand up and take leadership on this issue and to say these things? Because, who are you to do that? And that's part of the risk that happens. It's much easier to stand back and be the same as everybody else, to conform, to agree, to stand on the sidelines cynically and critique everybody else and everybody else's attempts to lead or make things better or not. But that choice is the fundamental piece. And it's at the root of leadership is, do we choose to put ourselves forward and take leadership about what we care about? And leadership for me has to be connected to what we care about. If it's a choice, then what do I care about enough to make that choice, to really put myself at risk in that way, to not conform, to be the one who stands with their head above the parapet and actually takes leadership on something? Well, there's got to be something that I care about enough. And one of the challenges that I see for people in positions of leadership within organizations is that very often they're unable to articulate what they care about to the people in their organization. And frankly, why should I follow you as a leader if you're not able to articulate what you care about? If you're not able to articulate why I should follow you, what you're leading towards? If you're in a position of leadership, you may be able to, buy my conforming to whatever you want through my salary and through my bonus and all of that sort of stuff. But that's not leadership, that's control. True leadership is about actually going, yes, I want to follow you. I will put my efforts, my energy behind what it is that you're trying to achieve. And if I'm going to really follow you in that way, if I'm going to really follow your leadership, then I need to know what you're caring about. I need to know what you're committed to achieving through your leadership. And you need to be able to articulate that in a way for me that gives me the sense that actually I feel compelled by it. I feel that there's something compelling that I want to join with you on. That is the root of leadership and what we mean by leadership. It's the ability to know what it is that I care about, what I'm going to take leadership on, and how do I articulate that to other people in a way where they feel compelled to follow me. Now, how do we develop that leadership is a whole other story, and I'll talk about that more in some of the other videos that I produce. But for me, that core element of what do we really mean by leadership is crucial to get right. You're not just a leader because you're in a position of power and authority. And if you're climbing the career ladder just because you want those positions of power and authority, then I urge you to ask yourself, for the sake of what do you want that power and authority? To achieve what? What will your leadership make better, make different, create, build, change, make happen in the world? That ultimately is the root of leadership, and it's what people follow, is your ability to make something happen and your ability to articulate what it is that you're going to make happen to those people so that they join with you and that they follow you willingly in order to make it happen, in order to support you. If you want to know more about the work that I do, feel free to get in contact. We have some leadership programs coming up, embodied leadership programs, which really build on this methodology and this way of working. So please do get in contact, read my book, have a look at some of the ideas that I express there, and get in contact if you'd like to talk more. Thanks.